When people discuss GTA, they typically tend to talk about GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, and they always go on about how amazing they were, etc., etc. Which is obviously justified because they are great games. But there's one game in particular that doesn't get talked about enough, and is, in my opinion, incredibly underrated. That game is My Little Pony Pinky's Pie Party.
My cookies! My cookies.
And this turns Pinky into a murdering psychopath and kills everyone in sight. The Yes games truly were wild back in the day. Jokes aside for a second, today I wanted to shine a light on GTA Vice City Stories, a game that in my opinion is criminally underrated and doesn't get talked about enough, and I would even argue that in some ways it's better than GTA Vice City, like the change that they made to the map where you reaching the airport isn't as much of a headache, and more so than that was a turning point in Rockstar games as a whole. Many ideas and additions in GTA Vice City Stories made it feel like a more complete game than GTA Vice City was, and especially in a story perspective. Rockstar dared to take a more serious tone at times, touch on social issues, and even went as far as to having a transgender character in the game, which at that time I don't think had even happened up until that point. Sure, you could argue that it was a character that was used to make fun of transgenders, but at the same time, name one character in a GTA game that doesn't get mocked. No matter their race, sexuality, ethnicity, it really doesn't matter. Everyone and everything in a GTA game is a target, and it's all meant to be in good fun. Rainy, who is the transgender character in the game, is arguably one of the best characters in the game at the same time. Sure, it's definitely over the top, and one could argue that there's really not a necessity for having 4 sex changes, but overall Rainy is just a great laugh, and honestly, especially when he goes on one of his tirades, it's just a really good time. Aside from the usual GTA characters, there's also some real human connection and development within them. This one being the connection between the protagonist Victor Vance and Louise Cassidy Williams. You start off meeting Louise when she is in an abusive relationship with her husband, doing her best to try to make ends meet and make sure that her new unborn baby will get the best care that she wants. But no matter how hard she tries, it's never good enough for Marty J. Williams, the husband. Vic notices this, and then slowly but surely they build a relationship that lasts through the entire game, with many ups and downs and sometimes even involvement of Vic's brother, the now infamous Lance Vance. Returning from Vice City, Lance Vance isn't the same overconfident man you know and maybe even love from GTA Vice City. He's not 100% there on a mental level, and naturally, in true Lance Vance style, Vic gets into a lot of trouble and has to clean up the mess. It's with these two characters in particular that Vic goes through a lot of hardship. With Lance, he just simply has to deal with it because it's his brother, and if he doesn't fix the mess that he made, not only will get Vic in trouble, but Louise might be too. I don't want to spoil the game here too much because I genuinely believe that if you've never played the game before, I highly encourage you to do so. I'd argue that the story and character developments in GTA Vice City Stories had a big impact on GTA 4 and how that story turned out for the better. And in a way, I kinda see quite a lot of similarities between GTA Vice City Stories and GTA 4 story. But again, no spoilers here because I would really like you to go in there without any spoilers and just experience the game the way that it's meant to be. Oh yeah, and of course I couldn't stop this segment without mentioning the drummer from Genesis. Having an entire performance of In the Air Tonight is nothing short of amazing, especially when having watched the version in-game as well as the real-life version, you can tell how much care and time went into the fact of making that exactly the same. Really cool stuff. And obviously, the banter between Phil Collins and Barry is also great. There's many great laughs to be had. Speaking of drummers and Genesis, the soundtrack. Obviously, this is what GTA is known for, but GTA Vice City Stories in particular has some absolute bangers on it. And well, if I might say so, my personal favorite radio station in the entire franchise, V-Rock. Casanets and Laszlo's back and forth, insults and banter is just great and arguably the highlight of the radio stations for me. But that doesn't discredit the other radio stations, no sir. Bangers such as Phil Collins' Easy Lover, Love is a Battlefield, It's My Life, Turn It On Again, It's This Time Baby, Lost in Music, Sexual Healing, Mary Jane, Love TKO, Everybody Loves the Sunshine, A Forest, Blue Monday, It's Like That by Run DMC, I'm Not in Love by 10cc, I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner, In the Air Tonight, obviously, Baby Hold On by Eddie Money, and for some reason the worst version of Rainbow made it into the game with the song Stone Cold. It's not exactly Stargazer and Ronnie James Dio, but I guess it will do and it fits the time period. And arguably one of my favorite features in GTA 5 City Stories is the businesses. Taking over those businesses and trying to build your own empire was always something that was pretty satisfying to me. It also did mean that the payouts for the missions themselves were kind of pity money, and it really was the thing that you were going to make money with, and pretty much that alone. Because of this reason, I remember when I started playing the game that I made sure that I would have all the businesses and buildings as soon as I unlocked them to kind of keep the cash flowing in the correct way, which was my way, obviously. Part of me wonders if the GTA 5 City Stories businesses were an inspiration for the GTA Online biker businesses and they kind of work the same way. Maybe just a little bit more structured and less more so about having to take over an entire map and just buying one business and just kind of go from there. But those are just some of my thoughts about GTA 5 City Stories. If you have played them yourself, obviously, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. Try to keep it spoiler free for those folks that haven't played it just yet, obviously, because I do encourage you to check it out. If you want to play the game for yourself and you don't have a PSP or a PS2 available to you, I'll leave a link in the description down below with like a tutorial of how you can get started and can get it playing, because definitely worth to go through a little bit of effort into getting this set up and all the good stuff. As well as the fact that I believe you can also have a 60 FPS option too, which will make the experience a little bit better. Granted, there are some missions in the game where you might want to turn 30 FPS on again, because the game is built for 30 FPS, and sometimes that shows when you die a little bit too quick during certain escort missions. But with all that said and all that done, that was it for this one. Thank you so very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and if you really like what you see on the channel, please do consider becoming a member like Chloe, Roberts, Captain Price, Madman Dakota, and Shapeshift Gaming. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all later.